All these lit candles and stuff, hopefully it's going to be lighting Amber's way home. Any sign that you can give us to where you're at, anything, please come home.
In all my life, I never thought I would go through something like that. And I don't wish that to my worst enemy. We're going to find her, are we?
If Amber was abducted, she's got a fighting chance.
She will make sure whoever it is, she'll drive them up a wall. But she's a survivor. I don't think in my heart, I don't think she's hurt. I think she's just in a bad situation she's trying to get out of.
Escondido girl is missing tonight, and her parents are asking for the public's help to find her.
And she was bringing a check to get her lamb, and she was excited to get there, and she's never missed a day of school. She got perfect attendance. Very out of character for her not to show up there.
Round-the-clock effort to find the missing Poway High School senior continues. Track and cross-country star's parents reported her missing Thursday night when she didn't return home from a run. Her locked car was found at the Rancho Bernardo Community Park with her cell phone, wallet, and iPod inside.
It started with the disappearance of a 14-year-old girl in Escondido, California. Back in February 2009, the town was safe, quiet, and family-oriented. The kind of place where everyone knew everyone. So when a teenager vanished on her way to school one morning, it didn't make sense. That story would later lead investigators to a man whose name would become one of the most despised in San Diego County, John Albert Gardner. Amber Dubois was 14, the oldest daughter in her family. Her parents, Carrie and Mo, were separated but still on good terms, and she had one younger sister. She was known to be artistic, shy, and a bit different from other kids. She preferred animals and quiet spaces over malls and crowds. At Escondido High, she was taking extra classes, eager to graduate early. On the morning of February 13th, 2009, she set off on her usual walk to school, carrying a $200 check to buy a lamb for a Future Farmers of America project. She was excited about it, but she never made it to class. That afternoon, when Amber didn't come home, her stepfather called the school. Teachers were surprised. Amber never missed a day. The teacher, expecting that $200 check, hadn't seen her either. Within hours, the search began. Neighbors were questioned, police were called, and the community mobilized. But there was no trace, no bag, no phone, nothing. The only clue was a brief 20-second phone signal the next day, pinging from a tower near her home. It gave her family a moment of hope that vanished as quickly as it came. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Hundreds of volunteers searched the nearby mountains, forests and trails, but nothing surfaced. The town's optimism slowly faded into heartbreak. A year passed, and Amber's case had grown cold, until another girl just a few miles away disappeared under hauntingly similar circumstances.
Round-the-clock effort to find the missing Poway High School senior continues. Track and cross-country star's parents reported her missing Thursday night when she didn't return home from a run. Her locked car was found at the Rancho Bernardo Community Park with her cell phone, wallet, and iPod inside.
Our daughter is the kind of girl that you dream of. She's the kind of kid that everybody wants as a parent. She's respectful, she's bright, she's caring. She's everything that you look for in a great person.
On February 25th, 2010, almost exactly 1 year later, 17-year-old Chelsea King went for an afternoon jog in Rancho Bernardo Community Park, a popular trail near San Diego. She was a high-achieving student from Poway, an only child, loved by her parents, accepted into every college she applied to. When she didn't return home that evening, her parents found her car in the parking lot. Her phone, wallet, and iPod were still inside. Police immediately recognized the similarities. A missing teenage girl, last seen alone, near an open area. Within hours, they launched a massive search. Her running shoe, underwear, and traces of blood were soon found along the trail, all spread far apart. This wasn't an accident. Someone had taken her. A jogger then came forward with a terrifying story. 2 months earlier, in December, she'd been attacked on the same trail by a man she managed to fight off. Her description was clear. A white male in his 20s, stocky build, short brown hair. That lead broke everything open. Forensic analysis of Chelsea's clothing revealed 2 DNA profiles, Chelsea's and an unknown man's. This time, it wasn't an anonymous match. The DNA belonged to a convicted sex offender named John Albert Gardner. Gardner had served 5 years in prison for molesting a 13-year-old girl back in 2000. He was supposed to be under strict supervision, but he'd slipped through the cracks, literally living miles away from the address he'd registered with authorities. When Chelsea vanished, he was living with his mother and stepfather near the very park she disappeared in. Gardner was 30, deeply disturbed, and had a long history of mental health issues dating back to childhood. His mother, a nurse, admitted later that she'd noticed erratic, violent behaviour, but believed he was just struggling emotionally.
Kathy Osborne is a registered nurse at Scripps Mercy in the behavioral health unit, and judging by these photos, she's a partier. These risque pictures obtained by 10 News show Osborne and a group calling themselves the Hash House Harriers running the hills around Lake Hodges and other trails and engaging in some wild activities. A co-worker emailed 10 News with this. She knew he was a danger and never reported him. Her judgment could let other people out of a psychiatric facility that should not be.
On the day Chelsea vanished, Gardner returned home covered in mud and scratches, holding a decapitated snake. His excuse was that it attacked him. Days later, after his DNA match came through, he was placed under surveillance and eventually arrested. When the jogger who'd escaped her attacker saw him in a lineup, she identified him instantly. During questioning, Gardner denied everything, even claiming the police had the wrong guy. But the evidence was undeniable. When they confronted him with DNA, his story fell apart. Soon after, he was charged with the rape and murder of Chelsea King, and investigators started to suspect he might also be connected to Amber Dubois' disappearance. That suspicion turned out to be right. Gardner eventually led police to Amber's remains, buried in a shallow grave on a remote Indian reservation, about 20 miles from where she was last seen. He later admitted to kidnapping, raping, and stabbing her within an hour of her abduction, but investigators could never establish a concrete link before his confession. There had been no prior evidence, no connection, nothing to point to him until Chelsea's case broke open. In court, Gardner initially pleaded not guilty, but when faced with the possibility of the death penalty, he changed his plea to guilty in exchange for 2 life sentences without parole. During interviews, he said he hated himself for what he did, claiming he'd lost control, and that his pleas for psychiatric help before the crimes were ignored. He insisted it wasn't about targeting young girls, saying he would go for walks to calm himself, and that both killings happened during emotional breakdowns. It was an attempt at remorse that convinced no one.
He's confessed to 2 of the most notorious crimes in San Diego County history.
I actually didn't go out and look for him.
Tonight, for the very first time, John Gardner talks.
What I did is horrible. I mean, I was aware of what I was doing, and I could not stop myself. I was in a major rage and pissed off at my whole life and everybody that's hurt me and blew up, and I hurt the wrong people. I hate myself. I really do. There is no taking back what I did, and if I could, yes, I would. Are you kidding me? But I was out of control. If I was able to stop myself in the middle of it...
This call is being recorded.
I would have, and I could not. I was out of control. It wasn't about their age with me. I actually didn't go out and look for them. I did not sit and wait for them. I go to calm myself. I go out and I go for walks to calm myself. I'll go for a walk or I'll go for a drive just to calm down. I was telling them that I just want to plead guilty, and I want everyone to know how bad that I felt.
You could have gotten the death penalty.
I didn't care. I still don't. Everything that I've done was horrible. What am I supposed to say? Did I try to prevent it? Yeah, I did.
Why did you admit to killing them?
Because I did. Why would I drag it out? Why would I put those families through going to court and looking at all that evidence and having them sit there and have the DAs and then my lawyers and everybody throw it up in their face? And I tried to get help beforehand. There's so many things that caused me to go into a spiraling downhill that I went in. I was not in control. I called all these mental health places saying, I'm losing control, I need help. They told me, oh, too bad. As soon as they found out I was a sex offender. Now, if I'm denied help, am I fully to blame? Well, for my actions, hell yeah. I understand. But could it have been prevented? Yeah, it could have.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Are there other victims?
I could try.
Gardner was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for both murders, plus an additional 25 years to life for the earlier attempted assault.
Judgment and sentence of the court that for the crime of murder in the first degree, Chelsea King, under special circumstances, life without the possibility of parole. For the crime of murder in the first degree of Amber Dubois, under special circumstances, life in prison without the possibility of parole. For the crime in count 2, assault with intent to commit a rape with 2 strikes, the term is life in prison, mandatory minimum 25 years.
At sentencing, the survivor of his December attack addressed him directly, reminding everyone that his crimes could have been prevented. He'd violated parole hundreds of times over the years, each time ignored. A psychiatrist had even warned years earlier that he was a danger to the community, describing him as a man inordinately interested in young girls and a significant predatory risk. Those warnings were ignored, and because of that, 2 bright young lives were lost. Today, both Amber's and Chelsea's families continue to honour their memories through advocacy and volunteer work for missing persons. Gardner remains behind bars, a reminder of how a series of overlooked red flags allowed a predator to keep walking free until it was too late, and the hunt for a monster that never should have been free finally ended where it should have started, with him locked away for good.
Look at me. Why am I not surprised?